Hold on. There we go. It's being recorded. Okay, folks. Well, welcome to the Go for Diamond webinar. I'm going to try to stop saying Go for Diamond call since we are hosting this on the webinar. I just felt that I think with the viewing and the exchange that we're doing is a lot more productive and user-friendly, I think. And we're also open to your feedback, everybody. We're certainly open to your feedback as you, as you share. It's always very helpful for us as we organize those calls. What I want to do right now is, before we share the screen, to give you an idea of what's going on, is this evening we want to talk about how to take full advantage of the compensation plan. And this is something that I believe is very, very, very important. And, you know, a little bit ironic is often what happens is everybody wants to obviously be successful and being in business, but at the end of the day, often I think we tend to have a bit of a fear when it comes to association with money. And always remember that the money aspect of things, money is just a tool, and there's so much emotion associated with the word money. And at the end of the day, folks, as Max International Associates, we're all in business. And what's beautiful about this business is that we really are in business and improving people's lives. And I'm not saying this just to sound good. I truly believe that from the bottom of my heart. Tammy feels the same way. The impact that we have been part of since the beginning of this journey with Max International, we can't, there's no word to express how impactful and how it has even impacted our lives. But there's another side to this, and it's the financial aspect of it, right? If you go and work for someone, or if you open your own business, obviously, why are you going through all the trouble of being in business and dealing with all the headaches, especially living in North America, Canada, or the United States, even anywhere in the world? I mean, we have to pay our taxes. There's a lot of headaches associated with being in business. So why bother? Why do you do it? That's because you have responsibility, financial responsibility. And I think what's happening when it comes to often a business like ours, people don't really take this business serious. And what I mean by that is they want to, but deep down, they don't treat it like such. They don't treat it as a business or a serious business. And that's why often some people say, well, you know, I'm not really doing, it's not about the money. And it's not about the money, but the money, it's part of our society, and it's an important element. It's an important aspect to be able to function in society. And if you're going to spend time doing this, why not getting paid? But the point is getting paid. It's also very important to understand what are the steps. So if you're brand new into this training session and you've never kind of learn about a compensation plan before, please don't be alarmed by the information you may find overwhelming. Rest assured that tomorrow is another day. The next day is another day. And it'll be another week. It'll be another month. It'll be another year. And what I mean by that is you have plenty of time to learn as you go along, building your business, at least initiating. So don't feel overwhelmed if I'm talking about something that may go over your head. Because I assure you, for the time being, it might be a little bit overwhelming, but after a while, it becomes second nature, right? But we do need to start somewhere. So we did a training in 2015, reflecting what I'm about to talk about here today, Tammy and I. Just to finish this segment. So what happens is I did this training, and that was in 2015. And I went through this particular document that I'm going to walk you through here this evening. And the point is that was in 2015. This document, if you see down here, is 2017. So there's been a few changes and a few updates. But again, let's start and kind of get you initiated on where you can find this document. But go ahead before we do this, Tammy.
I just, listening to Chris talking about, you know, the mindset around money. It's better to talk about what you're passionate about than say, I'm not doing it for the money, because you're actually, you're taking the money away from you by saying that. To use a negative towards money, you won't get the money. So, which means you're not going to get the people. You're not going to get the people interested, your customers or associates. So be careful what you put out there when it comes to an opportunity, because let's face it, money ranks right up there with oxygen. We need it. We need it to survive. We need it to live a good life. We need it to be able to support charities, to be able to put our children through school, university. And as you know, university costs a lot of money, and a lot of kids today are living in different cities and staying in dorms and staying in apartments and stuff like that. So we need this to thrive, right? To be able to get everything that you need. So saying that, I just want to express the importance of why you're doing this. What's your passion around it? Share that, and then you'll attract more of that. So instead of saying, I'm not doing it for the money, you say, I'm doing it because I want to make an impact on people's lives. I'm doing it because these products need to be in every single household out there. That's the kind of energy that you want to put out there when you're building a business.
And at the end of the day,
impact.
It's never about the money. If you really think about it, right? It's never about the money. When someone says, well, I'm not doing it for the money, they really don't get it. And I don't mean to be rude or anything like this. It's never about the money. Why is anybody doing anything, right? It's because they need something. It's an exchange, right? The money is just a tool that we use in our society to be able to function. Really, that's all it is. But the point, to Tammy's point, is, it ranks right up there with oxygen. And the fact is, we need it to survive today. And today, because of the environment that we're facing today, through this virus, which I don't want to bring up here, but these are obvious situations that we're all facing. I think that another stream of income is very welcome in everybody's home right now, right? So the point is, it's never about the money. That's why when we start our training segment, if you've never been there, if you go to activeteamtraining.com, you can actually go to the segment where your why. That's exactly what we talk about. Why are you doing this? Define yourself. What matters to you, right? And once you define that, then as you go down from what matters to you, to your goals, to the steps, to the tasks and everything else, that's when you start realizing, well, I do have to do this to be able to get there, to be able to get to my point and to get to my goals. So this document that I was sharing with you earlier, what I did is I went to my back office. And because of my back office, obviously, there's private information in there. I just kind of took a snapshot of it. And if you go to your back office, you go to the left-hand side, you click on marketing. You can click the little plus here that it turns into negative when it expands. And I click on document library. If you click on that, there's a whole bunch of documents that you will see. And there's a whole lot more than that. But the point is, I went into the compensation plan in English. You got it in French here and then in Spanish. Obviously, there's a lot of other documents. So once that you have that, now you have this particular document. And I recommend that you go through it, right? Understand that, when we started, there were 2 pages. This is how we started. Tammy and I didn't really have an upline that were teaching us what to do. So we needed to learn what to say to people. I remember the very first presentation we did in Toronto is, what are we going to say to people? Well, let's open the PDF and let's see what they offer. This is how it all started.
With a whiteboard, remember that? We didn't have any PowerPoint.
It was a crooked photocopy of our products, and it was actually, that's how it all started, right? So, but the fact here is, this is how we begun, and what happened is Tammy and I took charge right away, because we knew that we need to tell people the story. But at this point, many of you have 1,000 times more experience now. Every one of you on this, well, most of you, than we did when we first started, right? So we've survived through the process. Why? It's just because we became self-efficient. And this is what the goal is this evening, is for you to become self-efficient. So one of the things is, I'm not going to get through the details because this will obviously take too much time. But I think what's really important here, let me just get rid of the notification so we don't get, okay. So what happens here is you have the table of content, right? And all the details are here. So again, I'm going to let you kind of venture on that. But again, there's some really important part. You probably recognize this from the compensation plan presentation, where this is where we got it from. Because I found that it was defining the 3 different aspects of the residual income. This is what takes longer. This is where the real solid income is. We'll touch on that in a minute, right? And obviously there's the max living bonus. But again, how do you bridge? How do you build your business? What is the foundation? Well, the fast start is when you enroll someone, and the prime bonus is the building blocks to build the binary, which will be reflected on a matching check, right? And of course, is the customer, right? And often the reason why people have a hard time earning serious money with this business, and when I say serious, serious is you define what serious means to you, okay? The point is what is important to you or what matters to you when it comes to your income. That's what I mean by serious. That can pay your mortgage, that can pay whatever hole that you may have in your budget on a monthly basis. So the fact here, but see, most people live here and they hope that it may be in a month or 2 or 3 months or one day they're going to switch and they're going to want to become an associate. Yes, of course this happens all the time. But the difference between focusing here and focusing here is night and day. And you are reducing the lifespan of your business or the time it takes for you to get to that serious income that I'm telling you about from, years to months, right? Or a decade to 2 or 3 to 4 years. That's the difference between doing this and using this as a building block and always starting your business that way. And I know that regardless of what I say, you're going to do whatever you want to do. My goal is to teach you what are the best approaches, what is the fastest approach for you to get there, okay? And then you decide what's best, based on your experience and based on your results. Now, as we move forward, which is very important, is understand what is volume, right? And it's really interesting when you understand the difference between a customer volume and the volume that you produce and the volume that an associate produce, right? And you can see this is not really complicated stuff, but I really recommend you read through this. And again, these are the dates of qualification, which is really the 15th of the month. That's when the payouts are done. But depending on certain market, might be a little, but again, it's within, the point is there's the monthly commission and there's the weekly commission. And the fact is these are what you consider the monthly commission and these are what you consider the weekly commission, right? So you can get paid weekly in a business if you recruit someone every single week, right? If you have customers that are buying every month, but every week you got a new customer that happens to fall in that week, then of course you're going to get your customer income every week. Maybe some of you are learning this for the very first time, right? Or you retail online customers, right? And you need 50 PV for you to, to stay active to receive those commission, right? But if you want to receive everything else, you need 100 PV. So when we teach and keep things simple, we talked about 100 PV, but it's good and it's in your best interest to know these things, right? So as we move forward, and that's, by the way, that's why there's the tips here, right? Tips for success. Do you want to build this in little increments that will take you 10 years to do what someone can do in 2? Again, this is what it's up to you. Now, as we move forward, we talked about the customer income. I mean, this is obviously the purchase, right? And the profit, what's your retail. We don't do a lot of profit, a lot of retail, but some do. And again, that's totally fine. Personally, between you and I prefer getting people to buy the product the same price I buy it. Why? Because I'd like to retain them as a regular customer, which I bet you that's probably the next page, was a preferred customer, a PC. There you go, right? A preferred customer, which is common sense. And again, it talks about a few tips here. You get paid 25% of the CV of every purchases, right? And I know this is some stuff that most of you know, but some of you don't know. And some of you listening to this call, maybe you're hearing this for the first time, and remember that every countries have their own PDF document explaining this with the right currency. Just keep that in mind. If you happen to be in Ghana, Nigeria, or anywhere around the world, in El Salvador and Colombia and the Philippines, because I know a lot of you come back and listen to these calls, keep in mind that there is a currency for, there is a presentation or documentation for each currency in each country, okay? So as you log in and you log in with your country, obviously the proper documentation will be relevant to where you live. So in moving forward, this is really, really important when we talk about enrollment tree. Every time you enroll someone, this is a new team, right? So if you sponsor 3 people on your team, on your right team, well, you got 3 different teams on your right side. I'll come back to that in a minute, right? So, and it's really important that you understand this, so you understand the benefits of sponsoring on the right side, on the left side, and having more people on the right and on the left. There's benefits, right? Now, as we keep going forward, do you want to add something else? No, I talk too much?
No, go ahead.
No? Okay.
No, you can do it.
It's because if you hit me underneath the table, I know I talk too much. This is husband and wife doing presentations together. So from there, fast start income. So the fast start income, this is what I meant earlier. Again, 50 PV that you need to receive this commission. So this is good for someone that may have a hard time staying active, but they can still get paid by doing the activities of enrolling someone. It's their buy for a reason, right? And again, we talked about this. You probably recognize this on the fast start commission slide aspect, right? And now this here, this is the difference where we don't have an update yet because the company is revisiting how to present this. Why? Because we found that this particular Prime 3 here, Prime bonus level 3, was way, 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 way too generous. And this has caused some issues. And again, and not to get into a lot of problems, complication in trying to explain all of this, here's what you need to retain when it comes to the Prime bonus. You need to understand that first level and the second level. Okay, that's really important because this is your big building block in building your organization. That's what's important. In the Prime bonus, this is what you want to duplicate. And please feel free to add, Tammy, if you want to add something that overlooking.
Yeah, when the company added the Prime bonus part of the compensation plan itself, just so you know, for those of you who have been here before they've added that, that was more of kind of a bonus, and then everybody really liked it because it kept the retention of associates in the organizations. In other words, it helped people to earn an income that would pay for their auto ships. And this is really, really important. That's why we stress the importance of reaching Prime bonus level 1 and then teaching other people to get Prime bonus level 1. And of course, all that volume grows on both your legs for your binary, which Chris will explain. But understand that the Prime bonus is not to build a monthly income. It's a bonus to keep people in by having free products.
So in a nutshell, and that's again one of the benefits, right, is that you get the income to stay active and to renew your auto ship and so forth. But in some countries, what happens is this, even this plus this is so much money that it pays more than what the average person earned in an average job. So everybody was living there and just saying, well, I'm not going to worry about a matching checks. I'm not going to worry about a binary. And there were so many people that were living out of this and then living out of that what's happening is that created this balance. And the company says, okay, we need to make some adjustments to be here for the next 50 years to 100 years, right? So what's going on is that there's a few adjustments going on, but the rules don't change. That is the building block, that is the building block in building your business, is to qualify for this over here, okay? That's what's important. What happens when you duplicate this, okay? What happens? What's going on is that you are building a left team and a right team. So this you here, this you represent you. You got a left team and you got a right team. You got someone above you. You happen to be sharing the same line. And what you see in gray here happens to be people that you don't know. It was brought in by someone above you. It just happened to be one of the benefits in a business. But here's the danger, is to have the attitude of, what have you done for me lately, right? So that is not the right way to build a business. If you happen to have someone that's being put underneath your left leg, hey, great for you, awesome. But I assure you, this is not going to get you to diamond. What's going to get you to diamond, or what's going to get you to gold, or get you to platinum, whatever level is important to you, again, based on what that money important is to you, what that goal is to you for the amount of money that matters to you, right? Whatever level that matters, what's important is what you bring to the table. And that's the reason why the company states that you need to have one person on your left side and you need to have one person on your right side. Now, if you are starting to build, if we go back here, if we go back to these 3 people that you have enrolled, we teach 5. Why? because 5 will meet the requirement of having that 500 CV. That is one of the requirement that is important, right, in a business, the 500 CV, right? So for that, that's the reason we say 5. Otherwise, they need to get their customers, they need to order more products. It's not necessarily duplicatable. But if you get 5 people each ordering the minimum requirement, then that's duplicatable. That's where the 5 comes from. So from there, in this case, if we use the 3, because that's what the compensation plan is sharing in this document, you see here the green, well, that's how you would position them. Now, it could be 2 on the left and 1 on the right, whichever, it doesn't really matter. And the gray happens to be mixed with people that might be sharing. Just like you here, that you happen to be sponsoring someone here, you're just helping this person that you don't even know of. That's the benefits of the binary team. And just like this person that happened to be sponsored by that person, benefits you and everybody up the line. And that's the benefit of working together in a team like this, right? And again, without getting into a lot of details here, is what's really important is the binary is based on the volume that accumulates on your left team and the volume that accumulates in your right team.
So just to add to that quickly, you guys, what's really important is to create balance in you personally signing people up in this business. So not to have expectancy of somebody building one side. You need to bring people on your left leg. You need to bring people on your right leg. You need to bring people on your left leg, your right leg, your left leg, your right leg. And then eventually it's going to take off with your personals that are building within the organization. It's very important that you are personally sponsoring people in your business on a regular basis. If you want to go up the ladder of success, it's about you bringing people and getting them to the next level, especially a bronze and above.
Okay. Now, by the way, if you have any comments or questions while we are sharing, please do feel free to do that. We'll address them at the end of the call here or the webinar. So what's happening here when you look about the binary income, now we're defining this a little bit more, right? Here's what's important. The very first thing you need to do is you need to have 1 person on your left team, 1 person on your right team that are ordering 100 PV, okay? And then from that point on, when you maintain that, then you're qualified to start getting paid on the left team and the right team. Now, some of you, if you're looking at the very first time, you may say, I don't fully understand that. I don't get it. Don't worry about it. We have been sharing this for a decade and above. It's gonna over 13 and a half years, and it's not going, we're gonna keep repeating this, and it's called recorded. But you get paid on both binary legs, right? So often we've been told, oh, 10% from the smaller leg. Really, the reality is it takes 5% from this side and 5% from an equal amount on the other side. That's why that the side that is the smaller side, which in this particular example over here, has 2,000, and this one has 2,500. So since it's taking 5% from the smaller side, because the smaller side happens to be the maximum that this side can give. So it's going to take 5% from 2,000, 5% from 2,000 on this side. And what's happening is if you add the 100 plus the 1, that's 200, and that's where the 200. Often you're going to hear the expression, oh, you get 10% from the smaller team. What do we mean by that? It's just easier to the eye instead of trying to say, okay, 5% from here, 5% from here. Oh, well, let's take the smaller team, take 10% from that, that's $200, 10% of 2,000, right? This is the reason why often when it's explained and you'll hear people say 10% from the paid team, the danger with that, so people say, well, you know, well, what about the bigger team? Am I not getting paid on that? Yes, you are. It's just the way that we're expressing it, so it's easier to the eye to say, hey, 10% from the paid team, from the smaller team, right? So, but the reasoning behind it is you're getting 5% from the smaller team, which is the maximum you can take is what's in there. And you can't go beyond that because it has to be an equal amount from both sides, 5%. And that's where this comes from. That's how the binary is calculated, right? That's why as a bronze, as we'll show that in a minute, you get 2,000 and 2,000. That's where this comes from. And that's why we'll go back to the compensation plan as to how we explain it to simplify the explanation when we actually present it for someone who's looking at it for the very first time. So this here, again, is the global bonus pool. I'm not going to get into all of that, right? You can just kind of read that a little later. It talks about here, a little bit more details in reference to the binary team, where the 500 will be carried over and so forth. And it talks about exactly what I was telling you, the 5% on this side, 5% on this side. This is exactly what I was just sharing you earlier, right? Now, when you get into the rank advancement, and this is something that often we have not been talking about. And what's going on here is this may seem a little bit complicated if you look at it for the first time, and if it is, don't worry about it, right? It's just that it's again to understand the matching checks and the ranks, right? So from there, as an associate, right, you get anywhere between $0 to $200, right? Usually you see the graph, and I'll share that with you in a moment, that is a lot simpler than this, right? We removed a lot of this coloring because I thought too much information overwhelms people, right? But the document is there. It's like a dictionary, a matter of speaking, for you to get the facts on how the compensation plan works. And as a bronze, right, you need 100 PV. That doesn't change. It doesn't matter what level you are. Most company, when you get to here, this gets into the 500 to 600 to 7. Max International keeps everything the same, regardless of how much money. You do not discriminate based on the rank that you have reached. It's the same stuff, right? What's the difference is the monthly requirements. But the fact here, and you've seen this before, you need to have one person on your left, one person on your right active. That's what green means, right? To be a bronze, it's the same conditions. To become a silver, you need to have one bronze, either on the right side or the left side. So if you have silver volume, which means you got 5,000 CV on your right team and 5,000 on your left team, but you're not getting more than 500, even though you may be getting way more, what's happening is because there is no bronze. That means that the people that you're sponsoring your business maybe have not duplicated the process of building the primes. That means that you have no bronze. So regardless of how much volume you got on your left team and your right team, if you don't have one personal bronze based on someone you have personally enrolled, you are capped here at $500, right? This is very fair because the companies say, hey, listen, we want to make sure that if you bring someone into the team that we teach them. This is what I mean by fully understanding the full compensation plan. Now, you want to get paid more money? Because sometimes you might have spillover from your upline. Good for you. But if you haven't contributed by at least helping someone in your team getting to bronze, you won't go past $500, even if your volume might be a crown diamond, right? There's many people in the company like that. I'm serious, but they have not built a bronze. So the company said, well, we're going to pay you based on what you contribute. So for example, you want to become a silver associate, right? So, excuse me, a gold associate. You need to have 2 bronze, but you have to have one on the left side and one on the right side, right? So this is what's very important is one on your left side, one on the right side. Very important, right? They have to be in different enrollment trees, right? So for example, if I go back up, if you don't mind me going back a little bit, when you talk about the team, that's one person you've enrolled. That's another person. This person is most likely a bronze. This person might be a bronze too. This person obviously is not. This person is not, right? So that's how the company looks at the compensation plan to see how far you're going to go. So it's not just about what you do, is what you do in helping others grow. So when someone says it's not about the money, no, it's not about the money. It's about how do you contribute? Are you contributing to someone else? Are you helping someone else getting there? One of the reasons Tammy and I constantly create environment, as many of you have done, to teach and train and support, is to create this environment to help you understanding as we are doing this evening, right? So you want to become a platinum. You need to have another bronze. But the difference is you need one person on your left, one person on your right. So if I go back again to the example earlier, if you don't mind me going back again, well, this person is on your left team, and let's say that this person is on your right team, okay? let's just say for the sake of this discussion that this person, okay, you sponsored and didn't really do anything, but that person became a bronze, just for the sake of this discussion. So you have this person you're personally enrolled, you've personally enrolled this person, you personally enrolled that person. But these two are personal to you. That's what the goal is. But to become a platinum, over and above the volume, you need to have a third bronze, but it doesn't have to be personally sponsored by you, but it has to come from someone that you've personally sponsored. So if that person has sponsored a person here that became bronze, boom, that counts. It could also be the person you personally sponsored. So that's what this means, right? And if, let's say, I'm sharing some information with you and you get a bit confused, may I suggest come back to this training and listen to it a second time, listen to it a third time, listen to it a fourth time. This is what I do when I listen to a course and I'm trying to understand something. Often it's after the second or third time says, oh, the light just popped. Now I get it, right? So remember, that's why we record the call. So that's the reason why that circle is brown, because you didn't personally recruit that person, but it came from someone you have personally recruited in a different enrollment tree. And that's what this means, right? We could go on and on and on here. As a diamond, again, you need your your two personal left, one right? But the other two, so you need 4 bronze, but the other 2 does not have to be personally sponsored by you, but it could be someone that you have enrolled that did not reach, maybe have even quit, maybe it's not even an authorship, maybe they left years ago, right? But they have sponsored other people that has built a business that has reached a level of bronze. And the key to success in our business is to become a bronze factory. How do you build a bronze factory? By helping people qualify for Prime Bonus 1. Because if you define Prime Bonus 1 on a regular basis, what's going to happen is you're building infrastructure on the left team and on the right team, and they're doing that will maintain that 2000 and will get them to bronze. And that's the process of how this goes. From that point on, we talk about the matching checks. I'm not going to get into a lot of details here. I'm going to leave that for a little bit later for maybe another session. But just to go back, it goes back again to the people you've enrolled, right? This is all individuals that you have personally enrolled. When you become a diamond associate, or you want to become a diamond associate, I recommend you pay attention to this, because you need to understand what that 45% mean, right? And I'm just going to share it for the sake of discussion on this call. But what's happening is, if let's say you sponsored 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people, right? And out of the 5 people, you got one kingpin, one person that just rocked the world, right? Well, if that person contributes to 90% of your volume, right? And all the other individuals are, you're okay. But what's happening is that you need to at least have a balance.
Create a balance.
Right? So 45% of the volume has to come from the people you have personally enrolled. And I recommend that, I don't want to get into a lot of details here to confuse you, but the details are here. And there's many videos that we've done to explain that, explain the binary aspect and how to benefit, right? The key is that to sponsor individuals and to create a balance in the volume that each of those leads will contribute. And you're not just resting on one person in your business that is doing everything, right? Because it's not going to serve you well and further down the line to get the bigger checks. The company say, hey, congratulations, you've helped that person do very well. Well done. What about the other 6 people you have in your team? How much time are you spending with them? That's the logic behind this plan. It's one of the most fair plan I've ever seen, because it forces the right behavior to train someone the right way, to make sure that everybody gets a piece of the pie, right? And this over here, again, it represents the percentage that you get on matching check, right? I'm not going to talk about tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3. The fact here is that if you happen to be a bronze associate, you're getting 10% matching check from all the people you have personally enrolled. As a silver, right? So, yeah, that's fine. So from that point on, I'm going a little bit over time here, because this is important, right? If you need to run, guys, that's totally fine. I'm just basically sharing something that could affect the rest of your life. So from there, this is the matching check, right? And again, you can spend some time here, and it goes on, right? I'm not going to get through a lot of details, but just the details are all here in a document. Something else that I want to share with you that I think is very, very important. I've kind of summarized the compensation plan here very quickly, just so you can identify what we just talked about, okay? So this is very important. When you explain a compensation plan, again, I think it's very important, especially that in the audience, as we alluded earlier, the majority of people in the audience will be women. It's actually good for ladies to recognize that they're the leaders. Really, 73% of associates are women. Let them know, to encourage more women to take the lead and not to stay in the back burner, as I know my wife has been pushing a lot, right? And encouraging women to take the lead, right? So as we move forward, this is how we represent the prime bonus. You notice we removed the prime 2 and prime 3 because we want people to stay focused on the one element that is important to duplicate in your business. And that is every time someone new comes in, you want to duplicate that process to generate that 600 point. Why? Your 100 plus the 5 of the 5 individual orders. And then from there, as they are positioned, as you started, as we alluded earlier, here's your left and here's your right. And this is how to quantify the volume that we were just sharing, the 600 based on their order and the people that you sponsor when you qualify for Prime Level 1. You see how amazing this becomes? This is how you build a foundation of a mammoth organization. This is the reason why the organization in Ghana and different parts of the world has evolved. It's because these little steps have been embedded in the culture and how they build their business, right? From that point on, to understand it's not the prime that's the do-all be-all. It is a bridge, a stepping stone to get to your real goal is this. So as you are building the left and the right, and you saw earlier there was a lot of stuff on the slide, but you can see here 2,000 on your left, 2,000 on your right, right? The moment you've reached that, you earn anywhere between 200 to 500. We talk about the 5% left, 5% right, or the 10% of the pay team. This gets people lost. But if you tell them, hey, you earn anywhere between 200 to 500, it's exactly the reality of how this works without complicating the story. It's to simplify the message. Sometimes less is more. And then as a silver, it's 5,000. So 5,000 CV, again, it's the combination of more primes duplicating. And then we finish with the big picture, right? So from that point on, we don't talk about level 1, level 2, level 3, up to 7 level. We just focus on the personally enrolled associate. But keep in mind that it's not just the people you've enrolled, it's the people that they've enrolled, and the people that they've enrolled 7 level down. This becomes massive. I mean, thousands of associates literally earning anywhere between a couple $100 to, 40 grand. I'm not kidding. The report is crazy. But that's, again, this is where the real money is. But how do you get there? It goes back with the steps. To go back to the bigger steps. And from there, you can see the ladder as this grows. And that's the grand slam. This is when you got a nice, beautiful garden and it's expanding for acres of land and everything is just growing nonstop. There's hundreds, thousands of people every month coming into your business. And what's happening is when you look at your business, when it flourishes and expands, it becomes massive because as you move up the rank, your percentage will increase and you go deeper down the organization. So the income become astronomical, right? And then we go back to how do we get started, right? And then from there, we have the fees on how we get started and so forth. And then what's very important, I'll pass over to Tammy to finish here. And the incentives, it's not over just the money, but it's the trips, the culture, the other stuff that comes with the package. And keep in mind, we are providing probably the most important supplement today in our society to maintain a good balance with your immune system. Go ahead.
No, everything's good.
Okay. So at the end of the day, what's going on here is that we have made a huge ripple around the globe. And I'm not kidding. It's amazing what is going on. Despite the challenge that we're facing today, people want their products and they need money now more than ever. So now it's a great opportunity to learn. And I've seen many of you online and discovering yourself and just making a presence and sharing. So important. So as we come to a close here, keep in mind that it's very, very important that you understand the message that this compensation plan offers. And if the first thing you come up and says, well, it's not about the money, folks, who wants to be part of something like this? Nobody has any time to waste. But if you understand the potential financially associated with a product that we know, you guys know how important these products are, there's no harm in earning an income. Instead of feeding the fat cats, no disrespect meant to the farmers and so forth, because we do need them, is the wealth is divided among the consumers. And that's what network marketing brings to us. And we don't talk about this enough. Network marketing liberates people. It frees you from the corporate prison that we are stuck, most of us in, that we are dependent on others, where here you are dependent on your ethics and work ethics. I talk too much. Okay, so that ends to our presentation this evening. So thank you so much for attending. So let me just stop the recording so we can say bye to each other, and feel free to please